Hey everyone, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a little bit of a bittersweet one for me to make. I can't believe it's here already. It's my 2018 bullet journal flip through. So of course, since the year is wrapping up and coming to a close, so is our 2018 bullet journals. And as per tradition, I wanted to do a year-end flip through where I just look through every single spread in my bullet journal. Plural because I have two for this year. So I'm gonna flip through it and look back at the spreads and reflect on what worked and what didn't. I'm kind of interested and excited to flip through it because I haven't really looked back on any of it and I want to see the evolution of what happened this year. My experience bullet journaling this year was definitely way different from the year before. This is my second year bullet journaling, so the first year that I did it, I was more so getting the hang of it, but this year I had so much fun with it and I definitely found my own style. And you guys were also along for the ride. When I think back to all of my spreads, I also think about all of your recreations and it just makes me so happy. So I just wanted to say off the top, thank you guys so much for being invested in this little book slash planner slash journal that I do. This year by far has been the most insane year. We hit 1 million subscribers and I love that we have this little creative community that doodles together and geeks out about stationery together, and it's just my favorite thing in the entire world. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a part of my 2018 and I can't wait to see what 2019 brings us. Speaking of, my 2019 bullet journal setup will be up very soon, probably in a couple days from the day that this is being posted, but once it's up, I'll definitely be sure to link it down below for any of you guys who are watching this video in the future, so stay tuned for that. I can't wait to make some new spreads in 2019. So without further ado, here is 1 year in my bullet journal. Okay, so here are my 2018 bullet journals. I always get a lot of questions about what notebooks I used this year, so these are the Scribbles That Matter Pro A5 dotted journals, and I really liked them. I just got them in a white clean color, so it's pretty standard. I didn't really have any issues with the actual notebooks. So let's jump right in and look at the first bullet journal. By the way, I am going to be stopping at some pages and talking about what worked and what didn't, but I'll also just be flipping through if there's nothing that I want to say, just because if I stopped and talked about every single page, this video would be very long. So I'll try to just stop at the highlights or at pages that I think are really important. One of the things that I realized this year is that I really don't have any use for an index. As you can see, I made space for a double page index spread and I really only filled in half of it. And even though it is filled in, I also don't really refer to it that often. So next year I might just cut down and only do a half. I think that indexes work best for people who use their bullet journals for a wide variety of things. So let's say as a diary or for work and school, as well as a planner. But for me, I mostly use it as a brainstorming notebook as well as a planner. And because of that, I pretty much remember where every single page is going to be, and I don't typically need to refer to an index to find a page. As you can see, the last 4 months of my future log aren't colored in, and that's because at the end of August is when my bullet journal started running out of pages. So there are just the events that I, needed to write down from the future, probably that I wrote down months beforehand. So I still did refer to these events when I was setting up the new months. The first year I bullet journaled, I was pretty much able to fit the whole year into one notebook, although I did have to add a couple pages near the end, so it was feeling a little squishy near the end there. So this year I decided to not restrict myself to one book. I just made whatever pages I wanted and then just moved into the second book. And it was a lot more freeing, so I'll definitely be doing that again for next year. This My Year in Polaroids memory spread is actually one of my favorite beginning of the bullet journal pages that I did. It really forced me to make use of my Polaroid camera, which I always seem to forget to use, but because I knew I wanted to do a Polaroid every single month, it really did force me to take my Polaroid out to any special events or when I'm hanging out with my friends, and it's nice to look back on every single month. I basically chose a Polaroid that represented that month the best, so as you can see, June is when I moved into my brand new apartment, so I have a Polaroid Polaroid of my empty place here. I actually haven't flipped through this older journal in a while, and I forgot how much I loved January's theme. It might be one of my favorites from the year. I just like how simple and clean it is, but it's definitely fun. I'm actually curious to know what your guys' favorite theme from this entire year was, so maybe you can comment that down below. Okay, so something that I played around with a lot this year is the trackers. You'll see that this is a common theme throughout the whole year, but I really experimented with different habit trackers because I found that the year before I was doing just kind of basic graph trackers, and it was getting hard for me to keep up with it because I was getting a little bored. So I always experimented with trackers like this. This one was fun because the different lengths of the fireworks sparklers mean different moods, and it was like this cycle pattern. Wow, I think this might be my favorite weekly spread from this month. It's so simple and clean, but I just like the way it looks. I might have to recreate this one again next year, but obviously apply it to a different theme. This year I really tried to have a lot of fun with my bullet journal. I think the first year that I bullet journaled, I was mostly trying to get used to the system and all of the possibilities. Whereas this year, since I already had the hang of it, I was able to doodle a lot more and be more creative with it and put my own twist on things, which I think you guys definitely were able to tell, and also you guys enjoyed doodling along with me as well. Really liked implementing more drawing and letter, and this spread is a perfect example of this. Basically, I was going to be in New York City for a week or so, and I asked you guys on Instagram for suggestions of things that I should do, and this spread was a compilation of a lot of the suggestions that I got, and I think it looks really cute. I also just enjoyed practicing lettering and doodling, and I really liked how it turned out, so that just goes to show you to not be afraid to experiment with new things in your bullet journal. Okay, so February was the first month that I started using individual habit trackers, and you'll see that I ended up really liking this format, and I actually think I did it for the rest of the year after that. I really liked separating it out by the actual habit, because then you're able to kind of see and focus on how you did on that specific habit for that month, versus something like this where it's just a huge mumbo jumbo. This is more organized in my opinion, and it helped me to actually want to keep up with my trackers. So you'll definitely be seeing a lot of these throughout the rest of my bullet journal. And I'll probably end up doing that again for 2019. These were fun for me to make, and you guys also liked them whenever I would post them on Instagram. And I even sometimes would turn them into phone wallpapers for you. I think they're actually on one of my Instagram highlights if you guys are looking for a new phone wallpaper. Ooh, March. This is a good month. Fun fact, I think this is actually the most viewed Plan With Me video on my channel from 2018, so you guys must have really liked the cactuses. Alright, we've made it to April, which was the first month this year that I played around with collage and using pictures in my bullet journal. It definitely adds a little something to your bullet journal, especially when you're flipping through. Sometimes if you only use, pens and markers to draw and stuff, it can look a little two-dimensional, so throwing in different washi tapes or photos or different paper textures in your journal can give it that, quirky scrapbook feel. It would have been fun to do the different lengths, meaning different moods. I actually don't know why I didn't do that. You'll see these spreads a lot throughout my bullet journals. This is where I sketch out my plans for my videos or any thumbnails for my videos. It's almost like a storyboard for my videos. Another thing that I wanted to mention, so something that didn't work for me this year was my expense trackers and budget trackers. I actually think April might be one of the last months that I started implementing any sort of budget or expense tracker. And that's just because when I was writing down every single expense, like in February's, it just got a little tedious to write down every single transaction that I made. So I tried to switch it over into different categories and kind of budgeting out how much I should spend for each category, but that also didn't work. It was hard for me to come up with specific numbers, so I kind of gave up halfway through the year on some sort of budget or expense trackers. So if you guys have any suggestions on ways that I can change up expense trackers or budget trackers, I would love to figure out something that would work for me for next year. More fun quote lettering wallpaper pages. I know some of you guys have seen a lot of these weekly spreads because I actually did most of these weekly spreads on my Instagram live streams every single Sunday, which was definitely a fun thing for me to do this year. It was a new experience live streaming every week and having to draw something on the spot, and there's no possibility of editing something out. So sometimes I would mess up, but I would just have to improvise and find ways to fix things. And it also encouraged me to experiment with new things because I would get suggestions from the chat in the live stream, or sometimes we would come up with ideas together for quotes or different ideas for the spreads. So that is definitely one of my highlights from this year, is doing the weekly spreads on live stream, and I definitely am going to keep doing that next year. Whether that's on Instagram live stream or Twitch, I don't know yet. Okay, so this is actually something that I wanted to talk about. I get so many comments from you guys asking me how I keep up with my trackers, and you guys always say you find it hard to keep up with all of them, and I just wanted to put it out there that I am exactly the same way. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep up with my trackers. As you can see, I gave up halfway through the month, and that's just due to, maybe being too busy, or maybe I'm just not feeling it, and that's totally okay. Don't force yourself to do something just because you want to fill up your bullet journal. Bullet journaling is supposed to be something that makes your life easier or more productive, or maybe just is something for you to do to relieve any stress. So if a spread is not contributing to your life in any of those aspects or not adding any positive value, then maybe it's time for you to reconsider maybe the format of your spreads or whether you do them at all, and that is totally okay. You can even see that this expense tracker is completely empty, so apparently I was really not feeling the trackers for May. I must have been very stressed this month because both of these quotes have to do with stress relief. This one says, inhale calmness, exhale stress, live more, worry less. Was May 2018, Amanda? Okay. It's kind of worrisome. Ooh, okay, so this was the very first Dutch door style spread that I did in my bullet journal. Again, 2018 was the year of experimenting in my bullet journal. Basically, the Dutch door spread is where you cut the middle page, so you have this sort of flap, and it allows you to have a lot more planning space, which is why I love doing spreads like this for when I have a jam-packed week, because I'm basically able to have half a page per day. Whereas with a normal spread, I would only be able to have a quarter of a page. I have the days of the week here, and then my weekly events on the sidebar, and it's just a really effective spread in my opinion. June was a fun month because the theme was traveling, and it really correlated to my actual life since I was traveling a lot this month, and I was able to implement fun spreads like this packing list over here, as well as this itinerary, which is where I planned out my LA trip and stuff for VidCon. I also, again, took suggestions from you guys for places that I should go when I was in town. Another Dutch store. This month was a pretty funky month if I remember correctly. Yeah, like here I played around with the layouts, and the bags are the actual days of the week, and they switch back and forth. It was my birthday month, and oh wow, it was also when I moved into my new apartment, so June was definitely a big one for me. Yeah, there's my birthday spread over here. Speaking of experimenting with weekly spreads, this week is a good one to show you guys. Basically, this was the week that I was going to be in LA for VidCon, so I knew I wasn't going to need a lot of individual day planning space, so what I did was have a master to-do list, and then just a little sidebar for weekly events, and that way it was only a half-page spread. I can still outline places that I have to go for each specific day and then have my to-do list for that week. Oh yeah, and I did this little scrapbook page just because VidCon was such an enjoyable trip for me, so I decided to commemorate the trip, have my wristbands from VidCon, different stickers, and this is so cute. So a viewer actually came up to me and gave this to me. She wrote out my name in calligraphy, and look how beautiful it is. And I loved meeting every single one of you at VidCon. It was my favorite part of the trip, so that definitely just brings back some good memories. Wow, this month was so funky. Like, look at this. Wow, love that. I think this might be one of my favorite overall tracker spreads. It's so bright and happy and fun, and I love that the mood tracker is like this big sunflower where the colors differentiate every single mood. This color palette was one of my favorites. Another thing that I liked that I did in July was do monthly goals. So obviously I had my yearly goals page at the beginning of the year. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. So yeah, here, I had my yearly goals that I set at the beginning of the year, but they were more broad and long-term. And for July, I decided to set more shorter term goals, very specific, and it's definitely helpful for me to set more short-term goals at the beginning of the month because I feel like you're able to just see the finish line a bit clearer and actually take specific steps in order to achieve them. Oh, this page has fallen out. That's kind of sad. I think I tried to glue it back in, but it just didn't work. So summery. Bring me back to summer, please. I think we might be nearing the end here. Oh yeah, so here is the spread that I did when I was planning on moving into the next bullet journal because, as you can see, I was running out of pages. So I just outlined what I wanted to keep and change and add, and I will be doing some version of this spread again just to plan out everything before I move into my 2019 journal. Alright, so I think we've made it to the very end of this first book. Yeah, the only thing left is this pen test page. Moving on into this second one. So a lot of these beginning spreads you will have seen if you watched my moving into my new bullet journal video. I tried to keep the style pretty consistent with the beginning of the other book just because I'm perfectionist like that. I must have already realized that I wasn't using my index very much because in this second book I cut down the index to only half of a spread. Ooh, and this grid spacing spread is one of the handiest, most useful spreads I could have ever come up with. I definitely referred back to this a lot when I was setting up my weekly spreads, especially if I was doing it on live stream. It's really helpful because let's say I want to split my page in half. Instead of sitting there counting and dividing, I can see the line, like this is the halfway mark line, and I can see that in order to do that, it's just 18 grid spaces. I also did the same thing for splitting the page up into quarters. I did it vertically as well. I should probably add in splitting up the page into thirds because I do split my page up into thirds a lot. This is kind of embarrassing. I put a recipes to make spread, but it's completely blank, which clearly shows you that I don't cook a lot. I have nothing else to say on that matter, but needless to say, this won't be making it into my next bullet journal. Ugh, this is one of my favorite mood trackers as well. Wow, looking back at all of these mood trackers that I've done, I think I can easily say that the mood tracker is always my favorite spread to look at. I love like the little asteroid belt thing that I have going on, and I also just like the whole space planet theme. You guys know I love anything to do with constellations and stars in the galaxy, so this was right up my alley. I wanted to point out these circular spreads. I did find that they're not my favorite spreads to do. First of all, it's hard to get things very even in terms of the size of the actual day, and also there's no way for me to split things up into events and tasks, which you guys know I love to do, and that's just because I want to be able to pinpoint any meetings or events or places that I have to be, because if it's all mixed up into the tasks, I definitely probably will forget about it. I still get questions all the time about why I split it up like that, and that is the reason why, and that's also why I don't like these spreads as much. As cute as they look, it's hard for me to split it up. I guess I could put a line somewhere. Okay, yay, we made it to October, and I think I take back every other time that I said favorite in this video, because this really is one of my favorite themes. It's the magic, wizardry, Harry Potter theme. Another reason why I liked it is because it coincided with my New York trip, where I got to meet a bunch of cast from the new Fantastic Beasts movie. I also got to meet J.K. Rowling herself, so it was a very magic-filled month, and it related to my bullet journal theme, so it was really fun playing around with all of the magic potions, and these serif fonts were fun to do, as well as the parchment, and of course the Harry Potter font as well. And yes, in case you're wondering, I am a Slytherin. Slytherins represent. I know a lot of you guys loved when I was doing these spreads on live stream, because I have a lot of Potterhead fans out there apparently, so little winks to the Harry Potter franchise, like these footsteps for the Marauders map. It's definitely a fun time. So we are almost done flipping through here. We're at November, which is one of the more recent ones. More doodle ideas. This one was my Halloween doodle ideas video. So there's actually kind of a funny story behind this weekly spread. I was in Quebec City during this week, so I wasn't able to do a live stream, and I also didn't really have much time to sit down and make a weekly spread, but I had so many things jumbled up in my mind that I knew I had to do a weekly spread. So I whipped up this spread, and I think this literally took me less than 10 minutes, which looking back on it now, I'm kind of proud of myself. But I definitely want to do a video where I come up with 10-minute spread ideas, or just quick bullet journaling spread ideas that you guys can implement, because it helps when you have layouts in your mind that you can kind of pick out from your Rolodex and just put on the page, especially when you're in a rush. Alright, we've made it to the most recent month, December, the festive Christmas ornament month. This month has been a little hectic, as you guys probably know by now. I've been posting a lot of Christmas Amanda Claus videos, so I had to plan out a bunch of those videos, so you'll see that I have a lot of these brain dump pages this month. All of my Christmas countdown pages, which is making me so excited for Christmas. These are from my holiday bullet journal spread ideas video. Depending on when this comes out, I might have to blur it out because I don't want to spoil any gifts that I'm giving to my family. And I think we're almost at the end here. Yes, this is the end. This is the final week. There is one more week of December that I have to do, but obviously since I wanted to post this a bit earlier, we haven't done it yet. But yeah, there you go. That was every single spread I made in my bullet journals for 2018. I hope you guys enjoyed flipping through it with me. I almost feel a little bit exposed right now because you guys have basically taken a peek into my entire life this year. These journals literally outline my entire 2018 existence. It's very fun to bullet journal this year. I enjoyed it, and thank you guys for doodling alongside with me. So I hope you guys enjoyed looking back on the memories. I actually really enjoyed it, and I even got some ideas and inspiration for 2019, so I'm excited to get started on that and share some more with you guys. Whew. All right, everyone, so that was it. Those were all of my bullet journal spreads from 2018. I hope you enjoyed flipping through it and being nostalgic and looking back on the year with me. I feel like this video was a good way to wrap up the year in a little bow, and now I can't wait for a fresh start in 2019. So again, stay tuned for my 2019 bullet journal setup. I'll link it down below once it's up. Other than that, as usual, if you're craving some more bullet journal inspiration, you can go follow me over on my Instagram at AmandaRachLee and click that bell button down below so you can be notified whenever I post a new video. Next year, I have a ton of exciting things planned. I can't wait to share them with you guys. I know I said this already at the beginning of the video, but thank you so much for supporting me this year and being interested enough to see what I doodle in this little book right here. You guys are seriously the best ever. Don't get emotional, Amanda. Not at the end of the video, you made it this far. As usual, keep doodling, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye everyone.